and what needs to change?
There's definitely a lack of understanding. I think one of the teams, understanding of the sense and ethos around service delivery. And I think that's what we're missing. We're public servants. So there's a need to acknowledge and hold ourselves accountable to them. I think accountability and responsibility go hand in hand. We do require it, and I think leaders are battling with that. I think there's various degrees of support and some of the blurred lines that are becoming an issue. And I think there's a missing focus on excellence. Perfection is non-existent. Excellence is what you're striving for. And I think leaders today are missing that thing that we can do better. It's not about making excuses for mediocrity. And I think that institutionalized mediocrity becomes a problem. The other is the fact that the onus is on us as leaders, teams, particularly in the public sector, to deliver for the residents of our country. That's public money, public funds. So we are held to that higher ethos, and this is something we should do. I think the other thing is one, that there's a culture of fear across the public sector, fear of failure, fear of also taking risks and innovation and innovating. And when you have that culture, I think it becomes very problematic for leaders to do so. So I think those are some of the things we need to change. We need to change that mindset. I think we need to focus on the excellence. And I know Mr. Mandela said you should lead from behind. I am not Mr. Mandela. If I can get a tenth of what he was doing, that would be great. I hold myself in high regard. But so I think he was capable of doing it, leading from behind. You often do have to lead by example. You have to lead from the front. And in public sector, I think that is needed. I think you got to focus on the dedication and the commitment. There are staff and others, and you got to harness that. And so I think that's where we do need to change. I think we need to manage the expectations as well. Because sometimes you want to do everything. You need to prioritize. You cannot do everything at the same time.
Zunaid, how exactly can change happen?
All right. I think one is the support and encouragement in the administrations to push the envelope to do more, to also give leadership the backing, the authority to actually take it forward, to go ahead and do it. There's degrees of failure and degrees of error, and I think in business it's cited many times that some of the greatest failures have led to some of the best success stories because it's degrees of failure. So I think that's the first one, and you can see some of that. I think the pressures in the country are saying we do need a different approach. And I'm not saying it has to be completely the business approach to doing things. In the public sector, we don't work for profit. We work for the social good, but there are many lessons you can learn, many approaches. The other, I think, is training and capacitation of leadership, giving them the necessary capacitation. The training that's required, one, to embrace the ethos around public service and service delivery, but also the tools then to manage their teams, lead, and be more effective. I think thirdly would be, of course, allowing them the leeway and the room to do so. And micromanagement is a fallacy in any regard. And I think fourthly is trust. Because you have to trust leadership to do it and give them the ability and the room to do so and make some of these changes. And often to manage the expectations in that regard doesn't all happen overnight. You make some of these changes, and I think the reference I used in dealing with political administration here as well as the executive management is we're attempting to turn the Titanic, not a race car. So it's not going to turn on a coil. But we're going to have to move this massive vehicle nudgingly across the line and in a new direction. So I think that's where it starts. I think the one other thing is that leaders have to want it. You cannot be complacent and sit. This isn't a place to pasture. You have to work out here and you have to be willing to do it. You have to be willing to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty in this exercise.